Ladies and gentlemen, today, I want to share a truth that few talk about, but everyone needs to hear. Power doesn't always come from noise. True power comes from silence, from strategy, from knowing when to act and when to wait. Victory is not always about direct confrontation. Sometimes the best way to take down your enemies is without them ever realizing it. The greatest battles we face in life aren't fought with our fists. They're fought in our minds. Before any confrontation, before any challenge, before any obstacle, the first battleground is within. This is where the war is either won or lost, long before you ever step onto the field. The truth is, it's not the strongest, the loudest, or even the most aggressive who come out on top. It's the one who masters their mind, controls their thoughts, and refuses to be shaken by external forces. Think about it. When you're up against someone who wants to see you fail, what's their first move? They don't just attack your actions, they go after your confidence, your self-belief. They plant seeds of doubt. They try to get into your head because they know that once they have your mind, the rest will crumble. And that's why the first and most silent way to take down your enemies is to fortify your mindset. When you're unshakable inside, nothing outside can touch you. Imagine you're standing in front of a person who's been trying to bring you down. Maybe they've spread lies about you, tried to sabotage your work, or just throw negativity your way at every opportunity. Now, most people would react emotionally. They'd lash out, defend themselves, argue back. But that's exactly what your enemy wants. They want to see you rattle. They want to see you step out of your character, because the moment you lose control of your emotions, you've given them power. But what if instead you approached it differently? What if you reminded yourself that their words, their actions, and their attempts to break you are nothing more than noise? What if you focused on your goals, your vision, and your purpose instead of letting their negativity take up space in your mind? That's when you start to win, not because you shouted louder, but because you refuse to let them occupy the most important real estate you have, your mindset. When you start with the mind, you gain clarity. You stop reacting impulsively and start responding strategically. You begin to see your enemies not as obstacles, but as opportunities to strengthen your mental resilience. Every time someone tries to pull you down and you don't let it affect you, you're building a fortress inside your mind. And the stronger that fortress becomes, the less control anyone has over you. This doesn't mean you ignore problems or pretend conflicts don't exist. It means you approach them from a place of power, not weakness. You decide when to engage, how to engage, and whether it's even worth your energy. You become the one in control of the situation because you're not reacting out of fear, anger, or frustration. You're thinking clearly, seeing the bigger picture, and making moves that serve your long-term goals. One of the most powerful things you can do is to detach from the need to prove anything to your enemies. When you've mastered your mind, you don't need to prove your worth to anyone. You know who you are, what you're capable of, and where you're headed. And that inner confidence is something no one can take away from you. Your enemies will try to shake you, but they'll fail because you've already won the most important battle, the one within. It's easy to think that strength is about how hard you hit back or how loudly you can fight. But the truth is, real strength is silent. It's the ability to walk into a room full of people who doubt you and still carry yourself with confidence. It's the discipline to stay focused on your goals even when others are trying to distract you. It's the resilience to keep moving forward no matter how many obstacles are thrown in your path. At the end of the day, the mind is your greatest weapon. If you can control your thoughts, you can control your life. Your enemies might be able to throw challenges your way, but they can't defeat you unless you let them into your head. So the next time you're faced with opposition, don't reach for the muscle. Start with the mind. Because when your mind is strong, there's nothing and no one that can stand in your way. Silence is often misunderstood. People tend to equate it with weakness, passivity, or indifference. But in reality, silence is one of the most powerful tools you can use, especially when dealing with your enemies. Think about the last time you were in an argument or faced someone who wanted to provoke you. Their energy fed off your reactions. The more you responded, the more they pushed, because your words gave them insight into your emotions, your triggers, and your mindset. But imagine if, instead of reacting, you stayed silent. Imagine maintaining eye contact, staying calm, letting them fill the space with their noise while you gave them nothing in return. That silence would speak louder than any argument ever could. It's uncomfortable, it's unnerving, and that discomfort forces your enemies to reveal more about themselves while you remain in control. Silence is not just about withholding words, it's about controlling the space. When you don't respond, you force the other person to deal with their own thoughts, their own insecurities. They start to question themselves. Did I say too much? Did I cross a line? Why aren't they reacting? That mental spiral is powerful because it shifts the focus from you to them. They become preoccupied with trying to figure you out, and in that process, they often expose their vulnerabilities. Moreover, silence creates an air of mystery. When people can't predict your thoughts or your next move, they become cautious. They tread lightly because the unknown is far more intimidating than open hostility. Your enemies will expect anger, confrontation, or at least some acknowledgement of their actions. When you give them nothing, you deny them the satisfaction of seeing you flustered. You deny them the control they seek over your emotions. And in that denial, you hold the upper hand. But silence isn't just about conflict. It's a powerful tool in strategy as well. In negotiations, for example, silence can be a game changer. When you pause before responding, you give the impression that you're considering your options carefully, even if you've already made up your mind. This often pressures the other party into revealing more information or making concessions they wouldn't have otherwise considered. The same principle applies to any competitive environment. Whether in business, sports, or personal relationships, the person who can sit comfortably in silence is often the one in control of the situation. Another aspect of silence is its role in personal growth and self-mastery. When you learn to sit in silence, you develop patience, discipline, and emotional resilience. It's easy to lash out when provoked, but it takes strength to hold back, to observe, and to wait for the right moment to act. This self-betrayal doesn't just protect you from making rash decisions, it also allows you to see situations more clearly. In silence, you can analyze the bigger picture, understand motivations, and plan your next move with precision. There's also a profound dignity in silence. When you refuse to engage in petty conflicts or respond to baseless attacks, you rise above the noise. You show that you are not easily swayed by external forces, that you operate on a level that your enemies can't reach. This quiet confidence can be more intimidating than any aggressive confrontation. People respect those who don't feel the need to constantly defend themselves, because it shows a level of self-assurance that words can't convey. However, using silence effectively doesn't mean avoiding conflict altogether. It means choosing your battles wisely and knowing when to speak and when to hold back. Silence is most powerful when it's intentional, when it's used as a strategic pause rather than an escape. It's about knowing that sometimes saying nothing is the loudest statement you can make. It becomes a shield that protects you and a sword that disarms those who try to bring you down. There's a saying that success is the best revenge, and it holds more truth than most people realize. When someone wrongs you, disrespects you, or underestimates you, the natural impulse is to strike back, to prove them wrong with words or actions driven by anger. But here's the thing. Anger is temporary, and reactions are fleeting. What really lasts, what really stings, is when you rise above it all and achieve a level of success they can't ignore. Because nothing unsettles your enemies more than watching you thrive in spite of their efforts to bring you down. When people try to sabotage you, belittle you, or doubt you, what they're really hoping for is a reaction. They want to see you stumble. They want to know they've gotten under your skin. They feed off your frustration and setbacks because it validates their own insecurities. But when you don't give them that satisfaction, when you focus on your growth and continue to rise, you take away their power. You show them that their efforts were not just unsuccessful, they were irrelevant. Success speaks volumes without you ever having to say a word. Imagine the person who doubted you seeing your accomplishments plastered on a billboard, reading about your achievements in a magazine, or hearing your name mentioned in rooms they can't even enter. That's a level of vindication no argument can match. Because in the end, words can be dismissed, but success is undeniable. It's a living, breathing testament to your resilience, your hard work, and your refusal to let negativity define you. But success as revenge isn't just about proving others wrong, it's about proving yourself right. It's about channeling the energy from those negative experiences into fuel for your ambitions. When someone tells you that you're not good enough, that you'll never make it, or that you're wasting your time, you have two choices. You can let their words weigh you down, or you can use them as motivation to push even harder. Every milestone you reach, every goal you crush, becomes a silent but powerful rebuttal to the people who doubted you. The beauty of success as revenge is that it's not destructive. It's constructive. Instead of wasting time plotting how to get back at someone, you're investing that time into building something meaningful. You're not lowering yourself to their level, you're elevating yourself to a place where their opinions no longer matter. And that's the ultimate victory. Not just outshining them, but outgrowing the need for their validation entirely. Success also changes the narrative. When you achieve something significant, people can't help but take notice. The same individuals who once dismissed you will have to acknowledge your accomplishments, even if they do so begrudgingly. Some may even try to align themselves with you, hoping to share in the glow of your achievements. That's when you know you've truly won, not just because you succeeded, but because you've shifted the dynamic entirely. They're no longer in a position to criticize. They're now in a position where they have to respect what you've built. But here's the most important part. Success as revenge isn't about staying bitter or holding on to grudges. It's about letting go of the negativity and focusing on what truly matters: your growth, your happiness, and your purpose. When you're driven by the desire to succeed for yourself, rather than just to spite others, that's when you find true fulfillment. The revenge becomes secondary to the pride you feel in your own journey. Success isn't just about material achievements or public recognition, it's about personal victories too. It's about overcoming obstacles, breaking through limitations, and becoming the best version of yourself. Your enemies may never admit they were wrong, and they may never apologize for what they did, but that's not the point. The point is that you didn't let them stop you. You kept going, and in doing so, you turned their negativity into your stepping stone. Kindness is often mistaken for weakness. People assume that being kind means being soft, passive, or easy to manipulate. But the truth is, kindness can be one of the most powerful and unexpected tools you can use to disarm your enemies. When I say kill them with kindness, I don't mean superficial niceties or forced politeness. I mean using genuine, strategic kindness as a way to take control, flip the script, and leave your enemies powerless. It's about turning the very thing they expect the least into the weapon that leaves them confused, off-balanced, and ultimately defeated. Enemies, by definition, thrive on conflict. They expect confrontation. They're fueled by negativity, waiting for you to react in anger or frustration. That's the game they want to play because it's familiar. But when you meet hostility with kindness, you throw them into unfamiliar territory. They don't know how to respond. They're ready for a fight, but instead you're offering a smile, a compliment, or even support. That's not just confusing, it's deeply unsettling. Imagine someone at work who's constantly trying to undermine you. They spread rumors, take credit for your ideas, or subtly sabotage your efforts. The expected reaction would be to confront them, to call them out, or to retaliate in kind. But what happens when you do the opposite? What happens when you thank them publicly for their input, compliment their work in front of others, or offer to collaborate on a project? Suddenly, the dynamic shifts. They're left wondering, are they being sarcastic? Do they know what I'm doing? Are they setting me up? That doubt creeps in, and it's far more powerful than any direct confrontation. You've taken away their ability to predict your moves, and in doing so, you've taken away their power. Kindness doesn't just confuse your enemies, it exposes them. And when you consistently respond with grace and positivity, any negativity they throw your way stands out even more. Their hostility becomes obvious to everyone around them. While you're maintaining your composure, they look petty, bitter, and insecure. Over time, people will start to see the contrast. They'll notice that you've handled the situation with dignity, while your enemy has only managed to reveal their true colors. And that's a reputation hit far more damaging than anything you could have said or done in retaliation. Now, this doesn't mean you let people walk all over you. Being kind isn't about being a pushover. It's about choosing a higher path without sacrificing your self-respect. You can set boundaries, stand your ground, and protect your interests while still being kind. The difference is that you're doing it from a place of strength, not spite. You're controlling the situation, not letting the situation control you. And here's the thing. Kindness benefits you, too. Carrying around anger and resentment is exhausting. It drains your energy and keeps you locked in a cycle of negativity. But when you approach situations with kindness, you free yourself from that burden. You stay focused on your goals, your growth, and your peace of mind. Your enemies become background noise, irrelevant to the bigger picture of what you're building. In the end, killing them with kindness isn't about pretending to be nice or masking your true feelings. It's about using kindness as a deliberate, strategic tool. It's about understanding that the best way to throw someone off their game is to refuse to play by their rules. When you respond to hostility with kindness, you're not just confusing your enemies. You're showing them that they have no control over you. You're proving that their attempts to bring you down are ineffective, because you're operating on a level they can't reach. So the next time someone tries to bring negativity into your life, don't waste your time and energy on anger. Smile, be gracious, offer help if it's needed, and then keep doing your thing, building your success, and living your life on your terms. Because in the end, there's no better way to defeat your enemies than to rise so far above their level that they can't even touch you, and that's how you literally kill them with kindness. In a world that thrives on instant gratification, playing the long game is a concept that many overlook. We live in a time where people expect immediate results, quick wins, fast recognition, instant success. But the truth is, the most meaningful victories, the ones that truly stand the test of time, are earned through patience, strategy, and consistency. When dealing with enemies or those who try to bring you down, the long game becomes even more powerful. Most people expect quick reactions. They want to provoke you, push your buttons, and get an immediate emotional response. But when you refuse to engage on their timeline, when you're patient and strategic, you throw them off balance. They're left wondering why you're not reacting, why you're not retaliating. And that patience, your ability to outweight them, is often the very thing that leads to their downfall. Playing the long game also means understanding that setbacks are part of the process. Your enemies might seem like they're winning in the short term. They might get the promotion you wanted, spread rumors that temporarily damage your reputation, or create obstacles that slow you down. But here's the thing, temporary wins don't last. People who rely on shortcuts, manipulation, or sabotage often burn out or expose themselves over time. Their success is built on shaky ground. Meanwhile, you're building something solid, something that will endure because it's based on hard work, integrity, and vision. One of the most powerful aspects of the long game is how it changes your mindset. When you're focused on long-term goals, you stop sweating the small stuff. Petty conflicts, minor setbacks, and temporary frustrations don't hold as much weight because you're looking at the bigger picture. You understand that today's problem won't matter in a year, 5 years, or 10 years if you stay the course. This mindset not only makes you more resilient, but it also gives you a sense of peace. You're not constantly reacting to every little thing that goes wrong because you know where you're headed. Another benefit of playing the long game is the relationships you build along the way. When you're patient and consistent, people notice. They see your dedication, your reliability, and your ability to stay focused under pressure. Over time, this earns you respect and trust, which are invaluable assets in both personal and professional life. Your enemies might win a few battles, but they'll never win the war because they're focused on short-term gains while you're building lasting influence and success. Playing the long game also means being adaptable. It's not about sticking rigidly to one plan or path. It's about staying committed to your ultimate goal while being flexible in how you get there. Life is unpredictable and obstacles will come your way, but when you have a long-term vision, you're able to navigate those challenges without losing sight of what really matters. You can pivot when needed, adjust your strategy, and keep moving forward, knowing that every step, no matter how small, is bringing you closer to your goal. Most importantly, playing the long game is about self-mastery. It's about controlling your emotions, staying disciplined, and trusting the process even when results aren't immediate. It's about having the patience to let things unfold naturally, knowing that your hard work will pay off in the end. Your enemies might try to rush you, provoke you, or distract you, but when you're committed to the long game, none of that matters. You're not competing with them, you're competing with yourself, and that's a battle you're destined to win. So the next time you're tempted to react impulsively, to chase a quick win, or to get caught up in the moment, remember this. True success isn't about what happens today. It's about where you'll be tomorrow, next year, and 10 years from now. Stay patient, stay focused, and keep playing the long game. Because in the end, the person who outlasts the noise, the distractions, and the setbacks is the one who truly wins. Sometimes the best way to defeat your enemies is to do nothing at all. Let them destroy themselves. It might sound passive, but in reality, it's one of the most strategic and powerful moves you can make. People who are driven by malice, jealousy, or deceit often create their own downfall. Their negative energy, toxic behavior, and short-sighted tactics eventually catch up with them. All you have to do is step back, stay focused on your path, and watch as they unravel under the weight of their own actions. When someone is out to get you, whether it's a coworker trying to sabotage your projects, a competitor spreading lies, or even a so-called friend turning against you, the natural instinct is to fight back, to defend yourself, to expose them, to retaliate. But here's the thing. Reacting emotionally plays right into their hands. It pulls you into their drama, drains your energy, and distracts you from your goals. Worse, it puts you on the same level as them. Instead of elevating yourself, you get caught in a cycle of negativity that can cloud your judgment and damage your reputation. But when you choose not to engage, something interesting happens. You deprive them of the conflict they crave. They're expecting you to react, to lash out, to fight back, because that's how they thrive, by feeding off the chaos they create. But when you refuse to give them that satisfaction, they're left floundering. They're stuck with their own negativity, and without anyone to direct it toward, it starts to consume them from the inside out. People driven by malicious intent often lack the self-awareness to see how their behavior is affecting them. They're so focused on trying to bring others down that they don't realize they're digging their own grave. Their toxic actions isolate them from others, erode trust, and eventually expose them for who they really are. Over time, their lies catch up with them, their manipulations become obvious, and the bridges they've burned leave them stranded. You don't have to lift a finger, they'll do all the work for you. Think about it like this. A person who constantly gossips and spreads rumors may feel powerful in the short term. They might even succeed in turning some people against you, but eventually those same people will start to question the gossiper's motives. If they're willing to talk behind your back, what's stopping them from doing the same to others? Trust is fragile, and once it's broken, it's hard to rebuild. The very tactics they use to harm you will eventually backfire, leaving them isolated and exposed. Letting your enemies destroy themselves also frees you to focus on what really matters. Your own growth, success, and happiness. When you're not bogged down by their negativity, you have more energy to invest in your goals. You can channel your time and effort into building something meaningful, something that outshines any attempt to bring you down. And as you continue to rise, their efforts will seem smaller and more insignificant. The contrast between your success and their self-destruction will become impossible to ignore. There's also a certain elegance in this approach. By refusing to engage in petty conflicts, you demonstrate a level of maturity and self-control that commands respect. People notice when you handle adversity with grace. They see that you're not easily rattled, that you don't stoop to the level of those trying to harm you. This not only strengthens your reputation, but also attracts allies who admire your integrity. While your enemies are busy tearing themselves apart, you're building relationships, opportunities, and a legacy that speaks for itself. It's important to note that letting your enemies destroy themselves doesn't mean being passive or ignoring real threats. It means choosing your battles wisely and recognizing when it's better to let time and their own behavior do the work. In situations where direct action is necessary, like protecting your safety, your rights, or your well-being, by all means, take appropriate steps. But in many cases, patience and restraint are far more effective than confrontation.